Hello there. Thank you for joining this video. It's another Ask the Expert, this time with Scott Walden, who is the COO of Vetcor Services. They are based in Tampa. Scott was in the U.S. Army from 1983 to 2006. He retired as a sergeant major. So Scott, thank you very much for your service. And he's been with Vetcor since 2014. So I'm excited to talk to him a little bit today about what Vetcor is really all about and how veterans can be a really great group to hone in on and hire into your restoration company for a number of reasons. So Scott, thank you very much. Can you start by telling us a little bit of the history of Vetcor and its mission?
Sure. First, thanks so much for the invite for this. Talking about Vetcor happens to be one of my favorite subjects, so you teed this one up perfectly. Vetcor itself is a restoration company, owned and staffed primarily by veterans of the U.S. military. It was formed appropriately on Veterans Day 2013. Our CEO, Paul Huzar, was the first employee. I was the second. Paul and I have known each other for 30 plus years. We served as young soldiers together in what is the Army's very small airborne engineer community. And of course, the Brotherhood of the Military, we kept in touch the entire time. He got the opportunity to originally be the president of Vetcor, this notional company that was going to solve water, fire, mold damage kind of problems, staffed by veterans. He reached out to me shortly afterwards and said, "Hey, I need a right-hand man. You want to do this?" And so I was eager to do so. I jumped in and joined him in early January of 2014. Stopped down on my way from West Virginia, stopped in Sharpsburg, PA, and went to the Reeds Drying Academy, and was taught by one of the best, Joe Dobbins, in the WTASD course. And we took our first claim. We hired and trained the first set of technicians and took our first claim in that April. And we haven't turned back since. We survive here. We work in the unique Florida insurance environment and restoration environment. So our mission kind of coincides with that. It's really to provide exceptional service to our customers, provide great value to our corporate partners, and all the while creating meaningful and sustainable employment for our nation's heroes, sustaining a legacy of service.
Perfect. Okay. So veterans bring kind of a different level of work ethic even into their jobs. So what would you say are some of the main qualities you see that veterans possess that translate really well into restoration specifically?
I will tell you that I really want to preface that by emphasizing that veterans, like any other particular group of people, they're just people.
Yeah.
All right. It's the shared experiences and the environment, the cultures, norms, and the values that have been in place with the services of the U.S. military for several hundred years. And that environment, of course, when you're bringing in folks, the typical soldier at the age of 18, which is still incredibly impressionable as a young adult,
Mm-hmm.
and they live those cultures, norms, and values every single day for a 4-year period, well, then it doesn't really make them unique. People are people, but it's those experiences that allow them to bring some of those values, a lot of those values and attributes to the table that make them really strong teammates. Their loyalty, their dedication, their selfless service. For example, we've got Hurricane Sally going on right now, and it's in our DNA to run to the guns. So we've got several of our franchisees en route right now, made up of veterans that are going there, willingness to help, which is kind of in our DNA. So there's a lot of good qualities, but I don't want to create a very unique distinction about veterans. They're just people. It's just their experiences that they have that make them really good teammates.
Yep. Okay. That makes sense. So have you found that relationships with adjusters or insurance agents, even programs, have been at all influenced for Vetcor as a whole because of your hiring of veterans and the certain guarantees that it looks like you can kind of try to bring with that group of people and the training that they have?
That's interesting. And we get really defensive about this. And the reason we get defensive about this is because we are veterans, we don't feel by any means that we deserve some kind of special treatment.
Mhm.
But because we are veterans, you got to consider what you're going to get. All right, it's almost a bit inexplicable, but we don't want special favors because we're veterans. But because we're veterans, we enjoy a sustained over 95% exceptional customer service rating for our technicians, 94% exceptional customer service for our project managers. We always know project managers take a bit of a beating because they have to be the bearer of bad news sometimes. But still, in a service-related industry, to sustain those kind of customer service numbers is significant. And I think I can definitely attribute that to the kind of folks that we have. If I send a veteran to someone's home, not unlike a lot of other technicians, but it's going to be, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. They're going to respect their time. If they say they're going to be there at 9 o'clock, I guarantee you they're going to be there at 9 o'clock or they're going to communicate. If Miss Johnson's gold watch is laying on her table when they get there, guaranteed it's going to be on that table when they leave.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that translates to the insurance companies. That translates to TPAs. No single TPA out there has ever said, oh, we absolutely want Vetcor just because you hire veterans. That's not the relationship we want. We'll show you what we can do. Are we veterans? Absolutely, 100%. All right. But that's not the reason we want you to hire us.
Okay. So what tips would you give restoration companies looking to hire and attract more veterans into their company?
This is the part that I am extremely passionate about, because let me kind of paint this picture. There are some significant barriers and some stigmas that go along with the U.S. veteran. First of all veterans have PTSD. That couldn't be further from the truth. There are certainly some people out there who are veterans who have this particular disorder, and a lot of folks would be surprised. Of course, that particular subject is near and dear to us, but a lot of folks would be surprised of the real reasons that some of them experience this disorder, and it's not for what they think. Another one of the the stigmas they have out there is that all veterans do is shoot, move, and communicate. That means, in kind of military terms, that means that they're just grunts, and that's what people see on TV. They see ridiculous movies like The Hurt Locker and stuff like that. And because of the unique situation we have right now, where there's an ever increasing US population. All right, so that is a positive slope. There is an ever decreasing veteran population. The vast majority of the veterans we had serving were World War II and Korea War veterans, and those people are dying off much faster than we're currently producing veterans. So the gap gets larger and larger between those who have served our country and those who we have served and sworn to defend. That means that less and less people have direct contact with a veteran. That means they don't know much except for what they see in the media or on some of the ridiculous movies. And so they think they're all like they are on the movies. They all have this autocratic leadership style, and most of that is really untrue.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about the veterans leadership style, well, the military is a leadership laboratory. All of the stuff, much of the stuff that I learned earning my MBA in leadership, I was amazed that I had learned the same stuff during my first 5 years in the military. I was like, okay, this is a bit odd, but it is what it is. Mm-hmm. So when you look at the stigma that they're all just kind of grunts and they go through the woods and they shoot people, that's not correct. Such a very small percent of the U.S. military are those actually engaged in physical combat with the enemy. It's a small percent of the military. The remaining part of the military are everything from cooks to doctors and everything in between. It's such an enormous organization. So that's kind of a misnomer that they're all just grunts. There's another misnomer that, in general, veterans are uneducated. Well, statistically, that's completely untrue. There's many studies done that compare the average veteran with their civilian counterparts, and it's kind of even Steven. All right, so there's a few stigmas out there. Okay, keeping that in mind, there are some cultural differences certainly between U.S. military and civilian life. And let me kind of paint this picture for you. So if we're intellectually honest with ourselves and we think about what's a resume and what's an interview, right? Well, if I think about that, a resume and an interview is that applicant either putting on paper or sitting in front of you and telling you how incredibly great they are by all these individual accomplishments in hopes that you will think that they're a great teammate for you. That couldn't be any further from the cultural norm for a U.S. military member who has lived the team concept forever. So for them to go in front of you and tell them everything that they did individually couldn't be more uncomfortable. So because of that, typically veterans have horrible resumes. They interview horribly. So if you're considering hiring a veteran to enjoy some of those values that they bring to the table, you have to understand through the resume and interviewing process, listen, this is probably really uncomfortable for this guy, you know, or girl. And if you understand that and you kind of get past that, then, you know, the fact that they serve their country, they volunteer to serve their country and they got those experiences, you know, does that have to go on a resume? Do they have to indicate everything they did individually? I don't think so. So if they're considering, those are just some things to consider.
Okay. So it looks like as of right now, Vetcor has 9 locations in mostly in Florida and maybe one in Georgia. So what do you believe sets apart Vetcor franchises from other franchise options in the industry? There are quite a few.
Well, I will tell you, I think number one is we don't sell franchises, we award them. And it's who we're awarding to. Kind of like a USAA model, we award franchises to their veterans or their family members, all right? And only to those who share the same values. Interestingly enough, with all of the territories we have sold since September, and let me kind of preface that by saying too, I say the word sell. My experience in this industry and talking to some others, and especially as we researched and really dug into franchising, is that after a period of time, a set of zip codes becomes a commodity, right? And if that particular franchise fails, that's an opportunity to resell that set of zip codes, right? Yes, it's business, and in the franchising model, I get that, but that will never, never be the Vetcor model. When you sell a set of zip codes to somebody, that's their livelihood, that's their family, that's their business, that's their opportunity. So Paul and I have both said, if the mindset of Vetcor ever becomes that a set of zip codes is a commodity, then we're just doing the wrong things. So it's the kind of people that we award franchises to. Well, I will tell you, 3, to include Paul Huzar, 3 of our franchisees are West Point graduates. These are military people who are extremely well educated, and so it's the secret to the success of franchising, I think, for us is who we award these to. And because of their background, because those cultures, norms, and values that they all shared in the military, it's interesting. You know, the ones who are running to the guns right now for Hurricane Sally, these aren't individual entities going up there. These are folks who are going to work together as a team on this thing. And we don't get, maybe we're lucky so far, but we don't get this inter-franchise bickering around. We don't get very defensive about our territory. It's a really different, pleasant atmosphere. It's collaborative. It's the sharing of information. You know, Vetcor has 3 organic offices in Florida. Tampa we opened first, and then we, you know, some carriers wanted us to move to the Gulf Coast. We opened an office on the Gulf Coast, and then some want us to go down to the scary area of the Miami-Dade and Broward and Palm Beach counties, and we did. But we quickly realized, we're a for-profit company, but providing opportunities for veterans is really our passion. Um, and so what we quickly realized is we couldn't grow the way we wanted to and provide opportunities to veterans as quickly as we wanted to by organic offices. We were going to open one in Orlando and in the Panhandle. And that's when we quickly just had that aha moment and looked at each other and said, franchising is the way to get these opportunities out to veterans. And so there's no turning back after that. The ones we are awarding to are people who get it, they understand. And so, that's where we are.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, Scott, for all of that info. Do you have anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
No, I don't. I don't really. I love R&R. I've been watching that. The interesting thing about this, Michelle, is when I got that call, the end of 2013, I didn't even know this industry existed. I had no idea. And I really want to give a shout out, if I can, to my buddies at Reed's Drying Academy, because they set the tone. I was on the way down. I didn't know what I was getting into. And those folks set the tone. They are gracious enough to have offered to host me through my ICRC instructor certification. And so for us, education is the key to this. Had I not dug into the science of this and the education, not knowing anything else about the industry, I'd like to think we don't have any bad habits. We learned the S500, we learned all the other ICRC manuals, we read the articles that come out in the publications, because we haven't been doing this for 20 or 30 years, the way it used to be and all that stuff. So I just wanted to recognize that, especially for other upcoming restoration companies that are looking to either franchise or just start their own business. It's education is the key. Learn about what's going on. Read things like R&R magazine and the articles in there. And it took way too long for me, but I would encourage others to give back, to the industry. Do stuff like you're doing right now. Write some articles. Provide some insights. So from me to you, that's my 2 cents.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for your time, Scott. And for people watching this video, be sure to check out R&R. It's going to be a late 2020 issue where Scott's going to have, I think, his debut article in R&R. So be sure to check that out. It'll also be on our website. And Scott, thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a great rest of your week.
All right. Thanks so much. It's off to Hurricane Sally now.
Oh, stay safe. Good luck.
All right. Will do. Thanks again, Michelle.